cook some beef today. So I have 1 red pepper, 1 white onion, 1 red onion, some beef, some chocolate, some tomatoes, some red beans, some tomato paste, like toothpaste, tomato paste, some Italiano pesto, sun-dried tomatoes, some garlic, and some mushrooms. So I will cook some beef today for maybe my meal tomorrow and Saturday. I love you and I'm looking forward very much to seeing you very soon. I love you. I find it easier to do this chili beef in 2 pans, so it's just easier to cook the ingredients. So we've got the garlic and the onions, and we're just going to lightly cook these for a few minutes. The onions and the garlic have been cooking for a few minutes now, and as you can see they're just starting to go a little bit translucent. So now I'm going to add the chorizo into the with the onions, and this will just get some of the juices from the chorizo into the onions, and let this cook just for a few more minutes, and then we will add the mince. Give it a good stir and then leave it to cook for a few minutes. The chorizo and onions and garlic are cooking quite nicely. As you can see, the chorizo is now starting to release some of its oils, which is great. I've got the mince here. I've diced it slightly, so it's just easier to mix once it goes into the pan. So I'll add half of the mince to each of the pans, and then we'll give it a good stir, and then we'll leave this to cook again for a few minutes. And then just give it a good stir, and again we'll leave it to cook for a few more minutes. So the mince now is cooking quite nicely. Just give it a good stir, and we don't really want to brown it off, we just want to seal it, and then we will add some salt, pepper, we will add the spices, and then the mushrooms. We're going to add a teaspoon of coriander, chili powder, and the cumin. So we'll give half a teaspoon into each of the pans. Pour the coriander, half a teaspoon in each, and then the cumin, half a teaspoon, and then the chili powder. This is quite hot chili powder. We'll give that a stir, and then the next thing to do is we will add the mushrooms and then the red wine. Starting to smell really nice now with the spices in. So we're going to put in a good squirt of tomato puree into each of the pans. Be quite generous with this, gives it nice deep flavour. And then a good glug of red wine into each of the pans. Give this a good stir, very briefly, and then we will add the mushrooms. So just half the mushrooms and half the mushrooms. There we go. And again, just give it a good stir. So I left the mushrooms just to soak up the red wine, and now it's going to be ready to go into the pan. So in the pan we have the tin of tomatoes, the tin of red kidney beans, and some pieces of chocolate. You can see there's 6 pieces here. That will just gradually melt once it starts cooking. I've also added 250 milliliters of water to the beef stock. So put this into the pan. Hopefully now you can see why I use 2 pans, because there's quite a lot of ingredients now with the tomatoes, the beans, and the 2 pans of chili. So I'm just going to give this a really nice good stir, and we are pretty much good to go. So this now will cook for at least 8 hours, nice and slowly. It's always good maybe to make in the morning, or you can cook it for 4 or 5 hours, put it in the fridge overnight maybe, and then start the cooking again the next day. I also find the longer it matures, the better the flavour comes. So now we'll just leave this for, we'll put the chili on a very low heat, put it down to about 1.5. We'll put a lid on to keep the flavours in, but before we do that, most importantly, we have to taste, make sure, see how it is. Just really want to taste some of the sauces. There you go. Yeah, that's wonderful. It's got a really nice warm glow to the chili. So we'll put the pan on and we'll leave this now. And here we have delicious chili with gluten-free pasta. Enjoy.